Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Curran. I'm the co-owner of Local Laundry. We make socially conscious garments that build community. Now, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be telling you a little bit about my story, our company, and how we give back and build community. I'm so excited to be here. You all look spectacular. You all look so great, and I really mean that. So, like I said, I'm Curran, co-owner of Local Laundry, socially conscious garments that build community. How exciting. So, by a show of hands, how many people have heard of Local Laundry before? Show of hands, please. Okay, we got a couple back there. Yeah, Mrs. Deere, and yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay, maybe not too many. That's okay. That's okay. How many of you guys seen this logo before? A little YYC action? Huh? Maybe you've seen a little hat. Maybe you've seen it on a sweater. Maybe you saw it at the airport or a couple of shops. Right? So maybe you haven't heard of Local Laundry, but maybe you've recognized this design. This cool YYC design. Well, that's us. So this is my business partner, Mr. Dustin Paisley, and together we are the co-founders and co-owners of Local Laundry. As you can see, I really only have one outfit or two. I don't like to change it. I'm a bit of a cartoon character. Now, way back when, I grew up here in Calgary, went to high school and everything here. If you'd have told me, or you would have told any of my sisters or my mother and said, you know, one day, Connor, you're going to be in the clothing industry, I would have laughed at your face. Everyone would have laughed at me. I never, ever imagined myself in the clothing industry, in the e-commerce space. I never even had a fashionable bone in my body. Growing up, as you do here in Calgary, I always thought I'd work in an industry that led to success, money, and fancy cars, and fancy suits, and that's what I really wanted to be. I wanted to be successful. So, growing up in Calgary, what do you do if you want to become really successful and make lots of money? You go into oil and gas. Woo! Energy. Great industry. Fantastic. It built this province. Now, I worked at as a bartender at my parents' restaurant during the summers. They own a beautiful Irish pub right downtown Calgary called the James Joyce Irish Pub. You go in, say, Connor sent you, tell my mom I said hello. Now, every summer, I would work there as a bartender, and I would serve all these oil and gas people from downtown. And I thought, man, these guys are the coolest. They got expense accounts. They golf on Fridays. You know, they drive nice cars, and they have big houses. That's what I want to do. And I was like, this is exactly who I'm going to be. I'm going to be really successful. I'm going to have perfect hair, fancy suits. I'm going to be this guy. Look how successful this guy. I mean, like, that is the most good-looking man I've ever seen. Fantastic hair. He's rich. He's successful. This seems like an easy choice. So I dive headfirst into oil and gas. I'm so excited. And I get in and start doing my thing, and sure, I'm making a bit of money, and you know, I'm in the energy, and that's great. But then what happens, right? Like most people in oil and gas, in 2014, I got laid off, right? Gone was this image. I wasn't this successful smiling guy anymore. My whole world was shook and turned upside down, right? As a young guy, that your whole identity is wrapped up. This is what you thought you wanted to do, and all of a sudden, gone just like that. What do you do? So back to the drawing board. I needed something that I could get excited about, something that I could work on, grow, and maybe own, something to be passionate about, you know? So I go back to my inspiration. I watched my parents. They worked for themselves. They immigrated to this country. If you couldn't tell, they came from Ireland. That's how, if you couldn't tell from my lovely ginger beard. And they were able to own a small business. Like I mentioned, they own that beautiful pub down on Stephen Ave, the James Joyce Irish Pub. And they were able to create a life for themselves, create a life for their family, a future. And they were able to express their own creativity exactly how they wanted. So I went back to the drawing board. Okay, let's figure this out. I moved halfway across the world. I decided to get my MBA and go live in Sweden for a year with my beautiful wife. And it was while I was studying there, and I had a bit more free time, and I really started to think about what it is that I wanted. And what was I passionate about, right? I wasn't sure I could go back into the oil and gas industry. I didn't want that my whole life to get turned upside down and the worrying fear of the price of oil and getting laid off again. It's a fantastic industry. It just wasn't for me, right? So after thinking about it, I figured out you know what, I want to be like mom and pop. I want to start my own business. I want to be a small business owner, right? I took inspiration from them because they came to Canada, right? They escaped the troubles in Ireland. No money, no education, but they were able to create a successful business for themselves. They made a life for themselves. Most importantly, though, I saw how they used that small business as a vehicle to give back to the community. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. Yes, I got it. I want to be a small business owner. And I was so excited. Okay, great. Well, what kind of business are you going to run? What kind of small business do you want to own? Right? So I threw a few ideas around. Like everyone else in 2010, I tried to start an app. I started a podcast, tried to write a book, all these kind of things. Well, one of the things I noticed while we were traveling around Europe, my beautiful wife and I, is people kept asking us, where are you from? You know, you got that beautiful ginger beard. You must be from Ireland. I'd say, oh, no. We're from Canada. And they would go, oh, that's amazing. Love Canada. Hockey, beavers, everything. Love Canada. I'm like, yeah, Canada's pretty great. It's a great place. And they go, where in Canada are you from? And beaming with pride, I'd say, I am from Calgary. And they go, oh, Calgary, never heard of it. Sounds lovely. I'm like, you never heard of Calgary? Stampede, Calgary Flames, none of that? So I decided I wanted to figure out a way that I could represent where we came from, right? And use it as a way to connect with others, right? Use it as a way to give back to Calgary. I wanted to use it as a way to give back to the community. Now, I didn't want those, we've all kind of seen those I Heart Calgary shirts, or the cartoon moose in an RCMP uniform. That didn't represent me. That's not what I wanted, right? I wanted something that really felt like truly where I was from. I could use it as a way to connect together, right? What was interesting was I saw how people use clothing as an expression of their values, right? How we choose to wake up every morning and dress ourselves is either a conscious or subconscious way that we want to be perceived by everyone in the outside world, right? It's used as a way to express our values. So I thought, okay, what if we could use clothing as a way to bring people together as a community, right? Bring people together who share the same values. So I did what anyone does. You want to start a small business? This is step number one. I typed in how to start a t-shirt company. This is literally what I typed in, right? And then all this great things from the internet came back, and I was so excited. I was too excited. I didn't want to read all the good articles, didn't want to read all the books they sent me, so you do the next best thing. I hopped over to YouTube, right? I watched a whole YouTube video about it. Here was a step-by-step guide. This 30-minute, this was the exact same video I watched. Step-by-step guide, exactly how to start a t-shirt company. And I was like, this is amazing. This is so cool. This is what I've been looking for, something I can be passionate about, something I could just sink my teeth into. I was like, I'm so excited. So I became obsessed with creating an awesome website, t-shirt designs, and trying to see if other people were equally as excited as I was about building community. Right from the very start, we wanted to give back. We had a portion of all of our profits go back to local charities. So a lot of mistakes, because like I said, no business being in the clothing industry, no experience in the e-commerce. The list goes on and on of the things I did not know, right? You look at the list of the things I did know, hardly anything, and the things I didn't know. But I didn't care. I was just so excited about this idea, about this opportunity to bring people together, to give back, right? So I just became obsessed, and I made it a little bit better, every day, a little bit better. Slowly but surely, like building a perfect wall. I just built one brick at a time. I made so many mistakes I can't even begin to tell you. But eventually you get to a place, right? Eventually you find help. You get people who are good at what you're not good at, and you come together, and you figure out a way. That's what us as small business owners do, right? So this is what our website looks like now, right? It certainly was not perfect when we got started. I started from the idea I had, the moment I had an idea, 24 hours later, and only $50. I had a website and a t-shirt company, right? And it was the best feeling in the world. I can't begin to explain when someone, a stranger, or even your dad or your best friend buys something from your online website. You get a little bing, a little ching on your phone, And it's just this flood of dopamine into your brain. And it could be something about like 20 bucks. But just that, the fact that you took a little bit of nothing and you added a little bit of nothing else and you popped them together and you created something. It was the most incredible feeling I've ever felt, right? And that you can share that with people, right? It was absolutely incredible. So I moved back from Sweden. I meet my business partner, Mr. Dustin Paisley. And the two of us, we were this part-time team members. We want to see how big we get it, right? We were both working full-time at other jobs. We both worked for incredible companies. And we built this in our spare time, right? And now we continue to grow it. And we're at this place where, we had a little bit and it's been an absolute roller coaster ride. There are tremendous highs. Some days I think I'm the smartest person in the world. Connor Curran, fashion mogul. And then the next day, you get one bad customer review and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm the dumbest person alive. Why did I start my own business? Right? And it's just a constant up and down. But I love it because the constant roller coaster ride, the worst days, the absolute lowest of the lows, is 10 times better than the absolute best days when I was working in an office, right? So how we kind of built the company, we built the company to be a little bit different, right? We want to be storytellers. We want to be a company that builds community, right? So I mean, you don't have to go any further than our own social channels. Every post that we do, everything we post about is rarely about ourselves. It's about other people who are the athletes, the artists, the other small businesses, the people that are building the community, right? By telling everyone else's stories, we're telling our story, right? A big part of that was giving back. It had to be at the very essence of what we do, right? Whether that's running towel drives, whether that's, creating a garment that has a percentage that goes back to local charities. We have a goal that we want to be able to donate over $1 million to local charities across the country by 2030. Right? We want to showcase that just because we're a small business doesn't mean that we can't have a big impact, right? We're just over the 1/10 of the way there. So we are cooking and we are well on track to meet that goal, right? We also have these great collections, these giving garments we call them, where every toque, sock, blanket we sell, we donate to an organization that supports those in need. And one of the things that we started to look at when we started to make clothes and said, okay, well, hang on a sec. Why isn't anyone making clothing here in Canada? This was something that we decided to take a big look into about 2 years into the business, right? We were doing research on where, garments were made and how they were made, and the results were shocking. This is a stat that we got from Stats Canada. This is straight from the Stats Canada website, that prior to 1989, over 70% of all clothing bought and sold in this country was made here. 70%, all clothing was all made in Canada. Fast forward, the most recent stat was of 2020. It's less than 6%. Think about that. Less than 6% of all clothing bought and sold in Canada is made in Canada, right? So we knew we had to do something about that. We knew that we wanted to create a better quality garment and do it in a way that would minimize our environmental impact while maximizing the impact on those making our garments, our neighbors in the community. We knew we had to be all about supporting Canadian manufacturing and support a diverse Canadian economy, right? Yes, there was challenges, increased labor costs. It limited our production capabilities. But I'm telling you, it's been the best decision we've ever made, and it's something we're very proud of, right? We can go visit and get to know the people who are making our garments. We're supporting family-owned, second and third generation manufacturers all across the country. Manufacturers who adhere to strict Canadian labor and environmental regulations and standards. Okay, so this is all going great. We got this company, we got this social purpose, got this goal to donate $1 million, got this Canadian made. Everything is going amazing. And then what happens? A little thing called the pandemic hits, right? Okay, let's reassess what's going on. At this point in time, 60% of all of our revenue was coming from retail partners, people that own stores and place wholesale orders. Well, the pandemic has shut those all down, right? The stores are closed. No one's placing orders. No one's going to the malls. So what do we do now, right? Well, we looked at what we were good at. We looked at our assets and we said, how can we provide value to the customers? Meet the customers where they're at. How can we provide value to them while still sticking to our values? So we did what we do best. We built community, right? We met our customers where they're at. We collaborated with organizations who shared our values. And we created collections for their employees, their clients, their customers. We pushed these organizations' ESG strategies and helped them achieve their goals simply by convincing them to switch to a more sustainable sourcing method of supporting small business and Canadian manufacturing, right? So we partnered with great organization, maybe you ever heard of them, that you recognize some of these handsome fellas here, Calgary Flames, and a whole list of other different companies. Our customers and organizations stepped up to support us in a big, big way, right? Both the consumers on the direct-to-business on our website and corporations, they came together and they put their wallets and they put their budgets where their hearts were. They chose to support local, sustainable sourcing and a better way of doing business. That means something, right? Thanks to these great organizations, big and small, they helped us get through the pandemic. So much so that now that creating custom collections for organizations that want to be more sustainable now has taken up the majority of our revenue. Now, instead of it being 60% retail, it's 60% creating these custom collections and collaborating with great organizations that share our values and want to support local and want to support community. So where are we going, right? Where does that leave us now? You know, we were able to, because of all the support from the organizations, we were able to double our revenue during the pandemic. We were able to double our size. We're 4 people full-time. 4 people, that's crazy. If you would have told me back when I started as a student working on this and I came home and my mom and I were labeling sweaters at 2 in the morning and if you would have told me that one day, Connor, you'd have 4 people full-time, I would have said, you're out to lunch. I'm just looking, to create 1 or 2 shirts. We're never gonna get that big. So to be here, to be standing here chatting with all of you beautiful people, and to say that, you know what, we're Canadian made, we got a socially conscious mission, we're gonna give back, right? And we're employing not only people on our team, but families and neighbors all across the country at these people that work in these great facilities. We want to become one of Canada's most socially conscious companies. We want to become one of Canada's top fashion brands. We're en route to becoming B Corp certified, right? We're helping employ Canadians across the country and empowering them to build community, build better garments, and give back, and just have people ask the question, where is this made? Who made this? How was it made? Was it made responsibly? Was it made sustainably? We're getting people to ask questions. What we're doing and how this whole idea started is we're slowly making people's laundry local. Imagine that. Imagine you open up your wardrobe, look in your dirty laundry bin, in your washing machine, and every piece of clothing was made locally, right? Now, it doesn't have to be us. There's a bunch of other companies that are, that have just as handsome and charming chief laundry operators at the helm, just like us. I'm not saying your whole closet's got to be local laundry, but even if you could transform a little bit of your laundry and your wardrobe to Canadian made, what an impact. Let's reverse that stat, right? Let's get that number back up to 70%. So now, I may not have ended up like this cool guy, wherever he is. I'm sure he's still equally as handsome, super successful, but I'm glad to have been put on the path I've ended up on. And I have so many people to thank. I have, my parents who immigrated to this country, showed me the example of a business, how to start a business, how to give back. All the organizations that support us, my beautiful wife, my beautiful business partner, my fantastic team, and we are just so excited to be where we are. So come, make your laundry local with us. I want to thank you for spending the last 20 minutes with me, listening to me, the ramblings, the bamblings of a madman. I'm Connor Curran, Chief Laundry Folder of Local Laundry, socially conscious garments that build community. We'll see you shortly.